call this quilt the Rick Rack quilt because it looks like it's Rick Rack. It also kind of looks like pinking shears, or the edges you get with pinking shears. I've made this from jelly roll strips, or 2.5 inch times width of fabric strips, and these are all scraps that I've had from my 2.5 inch strips. Sometimes when I finish a quilt and I have a little bit left, I'll just cut 2.5 inch strips to throw in my bin. And so there's a lot of that in here too. Here's the binding, it's a gingham, and here's the backing. It's just a swirl kind of moss color, and here are some more blocks. Of course, I have a pattern you can download, and the quilt finishes at 64 inches by 80 inches. You're going to cut pieces off of your strip, and then you're going to cut little triangles for the half square triangles, for these half square triangles. When I cut my half square triangles, I used the folded corner clipper, which I'm crazy about now, but I'm going to show you how to use it, how to cut the triangles with this ruler. And also, if you have just a regular ruler with a 45-degree angle marked on it, I'll show you how to use that ruler. And if you don't have the angles going this way, I'll show you how to use it with just a diagonal in the corner. So 3 different ways you can cut the half square triangles. So let's get started. The instructions are 2 pages, very easy. The blocks finish at 8 inches. This quilt is set 8 blocks across and 10 blocks down, and it finishes at 64 by 80. There's a total of 80 blocks in this quilt. You're going to need 80 strips. They're 2.5 inches times the width of fabric. When you're choosing your pairs of strips, try to get 2 fabrics that really contrast well. I found that some of the ones with the big bold prints didn't work out as well. So have a good contrast, and I think you'll be happier with your end results. You'll need 40 light strips and 40 dark strips, and put them together in pairs that kind of coordinate or look well together. From this pair of strips, you'll get 2 identical blocks. I've pressed my strips, and I'm going to stack them together. And this little diagram on the front, page 1, shows you how to cut. I've cut off the selvage. Now the first cut's going to be 6.5 inches. The second will be 4.5 inches. And the third will be 2.5 inches. The pieces that are left, we're going to cut from each fabric. We'll need 8 triangles to make our half square triangles. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways to cut it. The first one, we're going to use the folded corner clipper. For this one, we line up the top edge, the side, and in this case the 2.5 inch mark. Normally you pay attention to this little vertical piece here, but we're not going to do that now. We're going to cut straight across here. Okay, and you continue cutting with this. Now you flip it this way, line it up, and cut. Flip it again, and cut. And flip it again and cut. Make your last cut for this fabric. And now you have your 8 triangles for the dark fabric, and then we'll cut our 8 triangles from the light fabric, and this is all you have left from that strip of fabric. If you don't have the folded corner clipper ruler, and you have a ruler like this one has 45-degree mark that goes this way and another one that goes this way, and where they intersect is right at the seam allowance. I've zoomed in to they intersect right here at this seam allowance. Also on this ruler, you can't see it too well, but there's a white line that goes across here, and this is the exact middle of the ruler because this is a 12.5-inch ruler. And this white line is going to come in handy as we're doing our cutting. Here's our piece, and we need to get a total of 8 triangles, and it is 2 pieces together. So with this ruler, we're going to look at the 45-degree mark here, and we're going to line that up with this edge of the fabric. Now I've zoomed in some more, and you'll notice that where these lines intersect, this line goes across the top of this fabric. You line up this top part of the fabric, and then this is the 45-degree angle that's lined up with the left side of the fabric. And now we're going to cut. Let's move this away. Now let's compare the one that we cut with the folded corner clipper, and this one we just cut with the ruler. I put it on top of it, and it's exactly the same thing. So you'll get the same results. Now to make your second cut, you keep it exactly the same position that it was in. And now we're going to use this top 45-degree angle. Line this 45-degree angle with the cut edge you just cut, and remember the little white line that goes across? We're going to use that line to line up this edge of the fabric. So 45-degree angle here and white line here, and cut. And there's your other 2 pieces. Then start again with the other angle down here at the bottom. Line it up with the cut edge of the fabric, and line up this seam allowance here, and then make your cut. And then for the last one, keep it lined this way and use this top 45-degree angle on the line you just cut, or the edge you just cut, and use the little white line here to line up this edge and make your cut. And here again is just your little pieces you have left from the entire strip of fabric. The last method I'm going to show you is the one that's marked on page 1. And what we're going to do is measure 3/8 inch each time we take a cut. If you use this ruler, it has the 1/8 inch marks on them. Each one of these marks on this ruler is 1/8 of an inch. And you look at the picture. So we're going to measure here at the top, right here. And I like to, you can get big on here if you don't watch it. So the 3/8 inch marking, I like to put just on the outside of the fabric. So here's 1, 2, 3, the third one, and this is lying just along the outside edge of the fabric. And then I'm going to place a mark here. Okay, so there is your 3/8 inch mark, so there's your measurement. Next you'll take the 45-degree, the diagonal marking on this ruler, and you're going to rotate it so the diagonal mark goes at the bottom of this, the bottom edge of this fabric. We're going to line it up here and then slide it over until the edge of the ruler hits that mark that you just marked here. And be careful that it's better to cut it a little bit smaller than a little bit bigger. So if you go over too much, you'll make it too big. So here I've lined up this mark here with the edge of the ruler, and I've lined up the 45-degree mark at the bottom of this fabric. And then we're going to cut. And let's compare it to our folded corner clipper. This is upside down, but that's okay. So let's put this on top, and it's pretty close. This is the least accurate method, but you can see it gets the job done. Now to get the next cut, we'll measure down here 3/8 of an inch. So there's your 1, 2, 3/8, and we're going to put the mark right here. Then line up this 45-degree mark with the cut mark and slide it until the edge of the ruler hits that mark we just marked, the 3/8 inch mark. So again, you're lining up the 3/8 you measured and the angle that you just cut. And there's your other piece. Let's do one more time. This one we'll measure at the top, the 3/8 of an inch. Line up the bottom edge with the 45-degree angle and then meet where you marked your 3/8 of an inch. And I use my pencil to help me place the ruler right there and then cut. Okay. Now for the final one, I'm going to measure down here, 3/8 of an inch. Use our 45-degree angle along the line you just cut and put the edge of the ruler against your marking and then make your cut. And now you have your 8 pieces of your light fabric. Next, you'll sew together all of your half square triangles. There should be 8 of them. And always press toward the dark fabric. So if you look at page 2, it shows you how to piece these together. After you make your 8 half square triangle units, you're going to sew the half square triangles to the 6.5 inch pieces and to the 4.5 inch pieces. And what you'll need to be careful of is the placement of the colors, because you want them to alternate, and the colors are shown in the instructions, so you can keep track of them that way. So go ahead and sew all these together and we'll show you the next step. The half square triangles are now sewn to the 6.5 or the 4.5 inch pieces. The 6.5 inch pieces are finished now, and I press everything away from the half square triangle. So every time you're going to press away from the half square triangle. So these pieces are ready. Now your 2.5 inch squares, you're going to sew like this to your half square triangle and 4.5 inch piece. Then press away from the half square triangle. Now you're going to arrange your rectangles into 2 blocks, just like this, and sew them all together and your blocks are finished. And here are our 2 blocks. So they can go either direction. There's always a light and a dark side. If we look at the quilt again, you can see how the blocks go together, and you make like a zigzag across your row. If you look at this block, you see there's almost 2 medium kind of fabrics. This almost doesn't work in here, but I left them in here anyway. If this were light and dark like these others are, you would see a definite difference in it. And also, if you look, it generally forms a pinwheel where the 4 blocks meet. You can't see it as easily here, but you can see it better here, where these 4 blocks make a little pinwheel. So you have a pinwheel going on, and then you have it could be a square with the 4 blocks, or just up and down alternating across your rows. So go ahead and play with your blocks, put them together in rows of 8, and you'll have 10 rows, and put those together, and then your quilt top is finished. Thank you for watching.